Now to that shocking decision too by the country's second largest pub group to ban Australia Day celebrations at all their venues. This is the Australian Venue Co. And I said before, they're not very Australian. They want to ban celebrations across the nation on the 26th of January, saying that our National Day causes sadness and hurt for some. Well, clearly, they've felt the outrage because the group this afternoon have issued a news statement saying it's not for us to tell anyone whether or how to celebrate Australia Day. Glad they call it Australia Day. We apologise for our comments. Joining us now for her take on this mess, Shadow Indigenous Australians Minister Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price. Well, I tell you what, this is owned, this pub group, by a private equity mob out of Singapore. I mean, what the heck? We all voted about our National Day when we voted against The Voice last year, and they're trying to tell us what to do.
Yeah, look, I think we've got to a point of absolute nonsense in our country. I mean, could this be considered foreign interference that it's a pub group out of Singapore suggesting that we as Australians, deciding for us how we should celebrate or not celebrate our National Day? I'm sick to death of the separatism in this country. I'm sick to death of those who are trying to be politicians, who aren't politicians, telling the rest of the country how to do things, how to think, as Australians. And I'm sure there are Australians out there who will react to this very angrily. And I think I would urge those people, go find a pub on Australia Day that does celebrate our country and make sure that they get your hard-earned dollars because the opportunities that this country gave you, if they want to celebrate this country, that's what we need to do. Start encouraging those to celebrate our great country on Australia Day.
Well, this is a private equity mob, and as I said at the top of the show, the only thing private equity understands is a profit hit. So I don't care what statement they've put out this afternoon, I will not walk across the threshold at any one of their venues. I'm going to keep that list in my pocket so I can't make that mistake. But, I mean, in a way, I'm heartened by how quickly, Jacinta, ordinary Australians, the majority of Australians, have just blown up at this statement from Australian Venue Co. Doesn't that give you heart that what we said last year with The Voice, we actually mean it, and we're not going to be silent anymore?
Absolutely, absolutely. Australians are sick of it. Australians stood up and said when they voted no to the referendum, they voted no to separatism in this country. They voted no to continuing to push the victim narrative onto Indigenous Australians, ultimately disempowering Indigenous Australians by suggesting we're all victims of our country's history. Now's the time. I know Australians will continue to say no to this nonsense. Now's the time to pick our pieces up, to come together as a country and to move forward together and to celebrate all the wonderful achievements that we've made. I visited Israel earlier this year. I saw what it meant when your freedoms are under threat, when your children have to be taught from a very young age that when you hear a particular siren that you go run and hide, that your teenagers, our teenagers don't have to walk around here patrolling our streets from terrorism. No, we take a lot of stuff for granted in this country, but we have the ultimate freedoms in this country, and there are many who died for those freedoms, and Australia Day is the day that we celebrate those freedoms.
A lot of corporates have said since The Voice that they got it wrong. A lot of them have taken decisions at a board level not to weigh into politics anymore. So I am surprised that this mob did. I think they got a 10-year on it. And of course, we're heading into Christmas. No one's really focused on Australia Day. They brought that fight forward. They made themselves the issue. But, your point at the top of your commentary there, that this should be left to politicians, that we're sick of the corporate virtue signalling. Do you think we're getting to the end of this peak woke period? Do you think we're getting some common sense returning?
I think the tables are turning, Peter, and I think if these corporates want to continue down this path of nonsense, well then don't just virtue signalling. Why don't you do something? You know, this corporation, they can go and they can invest in rehabilitation for those who suffer in domestic and family violence because of the causes of alcohol in our country and remote communities. If you really cared for Aboriginal people, you'd care more than about hurt feelings. You'd care about the plight of our most marginalised. And so I implore this group and others who want to do this to go and do something that will actually have a positive effect on the ground. Go and invest in rehabilitation. That's certainly the products that they're selling over the counters at their pubs. The havoc that is wreaking in some of the communities. If they're really serious about wanting to make a difference without just standing up and virtue signalling, Australians are done with it. Australians want to celebrate, so let them be. Yep.